Hello there!
Connor and I have decided to do a review reaction to some of the reviews we had for Desires.
This is not going to be a good idea.
Probably not. We released Desires in December 6th, and there were loads of reviews, and we've chosen a few of them. We couldn't do all of them because there was like loads.
Hundreds, millions, thousands.
There were a lot. So we've chosen a select few across the board. I mean, we had stunning reviews. There's also some funny ones in there.
Some good ones, some bad ones.
There's some really ones. But we're going to read through most of them and let you know our thoughts on them.
So firstly, Desires is really a second parter to Untamed. It was supposed to be the whole package, the whole thing put together. There's reasons why we kind of split it in half, which we'll go through in a bit.
Yeah, so Untamed, we completely released ourselves. We had no PR campaign behind it. We had no PR push, nothing, no promo. We literally dropped it. We released Undead as a single first, and that single alone put us on the map. It actually enabled us to book a few shows behind that, and that was just Undead. And when Untamed came out, it just solidified, I think, everything we've been working towards. So Untamed was a 5-track EP with 5 fairly short singles on it. Commercial, radio friendly, all that stuff. This is Paradise Sins, f*** it, here it is.
Here we are.
Now, just to make something pretty clear, and maybe we should have written this in the press release actually.
Yeah, probably a good idea to do.
Never mind. These 10 tracks were written, recorded, produced, whatever. They're all done together. Because at the time, we thought, yeah, we'll release a full length 10-track album. But in today's world, you know who you are. You do. People don't want that. They want short form content, short form albums, and you've got to bend. You've got to bend to these things to make it work, and it absolutely did work for us, to be honest. That's not saying we're never going to release a full album. In my opinion, these 10 tracks, they're meant to be in a record. We're an album band.
It does make a lot more sense when you put them both together. It's really hard to get people to listen to songs, and as a new band that people don't really know, 10 songs is a lot to
digest.
Get people. So you release the first 5 tracks, easier to digest. They listen to it and they think, wow, the majority of the people were like,
that's what happened.
That was good.
That's what happened with Untamed. It was slam, here's Paradise Sins, and it did the trick. And Desires, as I said, with Untamed, we had no PR promotion. With Desires, we decided to do it differently. Right, we've got a following now. Let's do a PR campaign behind it. Now, a band our size, that could have been pretty risky.
Very risky.
Yeah, might not have been the best choice, but it worked for us. Now, we got assigned a badass campaign, PR campaign with Sam PR and Gary, and it's just been...
Yeah, he's been really great.
Amazing. Been great working with him. Let's have a chin mag about Desires. Let's run you through each track.
So the first track on Desires is Love Like Hell. Now we Brief Willy.
Brief Willy. Willy brief. Put your Willy back in your briefs.
We've briefly gone over that with an interview that we've already done.
Yeah, you can find that on our socials. We put together an interview on how we filmed the video, how we wrote the track.
We'll put a link there somewhere, but I'll go over it quickly again. Party rock anthem. Get up, dance.
Yeah, no
sing along.
I think anyone could listen to this track no matter what you're into. It's just one of those songs that you can
it's just a lovable track.
Or you can love it like hell.
Yeah.
The second single from Desires was Beautiful Disaster, and that's the second track on the EP. It's probably one of the heaviest songs we've put together.
Yeah, it starts to put the grit in the album.
There's everything in there. It's riff heavy. There's a badass solo in there. The chorus for me is one of the best hooks we've written so far.
One more night and I put you away. I don't know the words to that song.
Then we slip down
and away
into Slipping Away. Now this is a 6-minute ballad. Some people might think, what are you doing putting a 6-minute ballad in the middle of a 5-track EP?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. But if you think of it as the 10-track album, makes
perfectly
total sense.
And also, in our opinion, it just works so well in this 5-track EP. Recording this one with Lewis when we recorded this was a mad experience. It's very emotional. It is about his father passing away, and it covers some dark moments in his life. Lewis wears his heart on his sleeve, and it shows on every song actually he writes. This one in particular, it hits hard, and it's supposed to. That's what music is for.
Yeah, it's real.
It's real and it's great. And it, we're putting it on the 5-track and we're putting it slap bang in the middle. Then we're back into the heavy stuff. Second Renaissance.
Throw a mention out there to our boy Zach on the drums. Absolutely blew out the water with this track.
Yeah, I always joke that this was our Enter Sandman. Just the way it builds up, it's got quite a lengthy sort of drum builds up to the track, and then the riff comes in and slaps you hard.
And then it's just drive the rest of the way.
There's something Rob Zombie about it. I think it's that middle section. It's quite Rob Zombie-ish. Can't really put my finger on it, but yeah, another heavy track. It's a metal song, really. Sacrifice. This is the last track of the EP, but as a band, we feel like this song summarises the catalogue that we've released so far. I think the design of this song was to show people, right, this is what we can do as a band, as musicians. You know, Sacrifice sort of encapsulates all of that, really. Sticking a 5.5 minute track at the end of a 5-track EP shouldn't do that.
It's a little bit progressive, but...
Well, we did, and it worked well. There's no vocals for like 1.5 minutes, but the guitars are singing. That's the idea of the song. Those clean licks are something we had years ago.
Yes, I remember something you showed me a fair few years ago now,
Yeah.
and I loved it, and it stuck in my head, and it was just like, we need to use that.
It attached itself perfectly, and I think what Lewis did with the vocals, both lyrically and melodically, it fits together perfectly. We are really proud of that one. If I had it my way, I'd release that as a single, but the way of the world doesn't allow that. Let's start off with Power Play magazine. We did a great interview with Victoria. She was great. It was actually our first ever publication interview we've ever done. And they also reviewed us. Should we read some of what they put? First of all, they gave us a 9 out of 10, which is solid stuff. All right, this EP is the second half of 10 songs written by melodic rockers Paradise Sins. Although similar in style, there is definite maturity to these tracks when played alongside those that made up Untamed. So again, that kind of goes back to our explorative side for this second EP, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So Victoria's summed that up perfectly, and she's clearly got the vision of what we were trying to do here. The band have grown, progressed, and become more polished, reaching out further musically and starting to explore some new ground. Again, solidifying that point that that's the idea.
It's good when someone actually notices what we're trying to put across.
Yeah, and she didn't know that. She didn't know that, obviously, we've recorded these 10 tracks together. She carries on to say, a fine example of this is the beautiful ballad Slipping Away, which could easily have been played by Guns N' Roses stylistically. It is packed with emotion, singer Lewis's vocal range pushed to the extent of its prowess, a soul-searing guitar solo and piercing melody. The whole EP is a great listen for fans of 80s rock and metal, with flavours of Guns N' Roses, Maiden, Dio, Crew and classic AR bands like Heat.
Yes.
This band deserved to get their music heard. Damn right. A new band adding their personal flair to a tried and tested formula works brilliantly when it's done well, and in this case, it's done very well indeed.
Now, as our first ever interview, when we read that, we were like, oh my god.
Yeah, it set the tone.
We were so excited.
It set the tone, and I think Victoria's, she's obviously properly delved into this.
Yeah, and actually thought about the words she's saying.
Exactly, and it couldn't be a better write-up, really. You know, yeah. So brilliant. Next up, we have Stargazer Music Magazine, and Ian Davis took some time to review Desires. So we'll read through this and let you know our thoughts. Paradise Sins have quickly carved out a reputation for creating anthematic, stadium-sized rock loaded with melodic hooks and razor-sharp riffs. That's awesome stuff.
That's us. That's
awesome
Paradise
stuff.
Sins.
We're going to use that, Ian. That's all right, for our next press release. The formidable 5-piece brings a fierce rhythmic backbone, with powerhouse drummer Zach Morris driving thunderous beats alongside Louis Easton's bass, laying deep, resonant grooves. Frontman Lewis Riley Morrison's vocals add yet another layer of intensity, his soaring delivery bursting with raw emotion. That's massive. Lewis does that better than anyone else I know. Guitarist Dan Jay and Connor Frampton set the stage ablaze with colossal riffs and searing modern solos. Is that word again? Searing. Pushing the boundaries.
Like searing my steak.
Pushing the boundaries of rock into fresh new terrain, resulting in a sound that demands attention, that's vivid, immersive and electrifying. It's cool that people are saying that this deserves attention.
Yeah, no, that's really good. There's a lot of people out there that want us to be heard by a lot more people.
Since their inception, Paradise Sins have dropped 2 attention-grabbing singles, 2023's Undead and this year's Voodoo Love, each captivating fans and fueling the band's rise. Their debut EP, Untamed, released earlier this year, has laid the foundation for their sound, offering listeners a thrilling first taste of their evolving vision. So again, Ian has obviously listened to what we've put out before, and he's put that next to Desires, which is exactly
nail on the head.
Again, it makes such a difference when someone takes the time to do that. Now, not only for their polished recordings, but also their riveting live shows. This Midland-based quintet has amassed a loyal fan base, packing out venues with high energy performances that are nothing short of electric.
Just want to make a note there with the polished recordings. We've done all of this in-house by ourselves. Yeah. So that's a huge compliment for us.
Absolutely.
It really is.
Talks about our shows, our live shows there as well. And I think another point I want to make is part of the production of this record was based on not solely what we sound like live, but it's definitely formed on the energy we bring to the stage. So really cool. And that brings me nicely to the featured single, Love Like Hell. This track is a sultry, high-voltage anthem brimming with raw magnetism and desire. The lyrics play on the tension between light and darkness with irresistible hooks and fiery lines like "You look like heaven and you love like hell." This track feels like a seductive confession. That's good.
Yeah, I like that.
Combining edgy rock with a hypnotic beat that's impossible to shake. It's an explosive tribute to reckless passion, leaving listeners captivated and wanting more. I mean, I couldn't sum it up well. Yeah, I couldn't sum it up better than that, really. So that's great. Paradise Sins are ready to take things even further, armed with a stellar release and an ambitious 2025 tour.
Are we allowed to say that yet?
Are we allowed to say that?
We've said it.
On the horizon, they're primed to bring their roof-shaking show to a broader stage, setting their sights on a swift and exhilarating climb.
To the sky!
To close, this single and forthcoming EP won't gather dust in any collection and will keep heads bouncing and feet tapping from sofa to stage. And Ian was kind to give us a 9 out of 10.
It's our second 9 out of 10.
Which is beastly.
That's huge. That's such another good interview. You can tell that they've really took the time to listen and think for themselves and not, you know, listen.
Yeah, he's gone back, he's listened to the older stuff.
Yeah.
And he's taken the time to not compare those two, but obviously it's important to put those two together, and Ian's done a fantastic job. And we can't thank him enough for a really cool review, so thanks. On to the next, and this is from rockposer.com. Rockpose.com, does that mean they're poser? I don't know. This is by Jason Hopper. Thank you, Jason, for reviewing Desires. British rock newbies Paradise Sins are seeking to make a name for themselves with the second of the 2 EPs released this year. The first was Untamed, released last spring. With this new one, Desires, the band are hoping to build momentum in an ever-expanding melodic rock landscape. So I'm not sure if Jason has listened to Untamed.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's aware that there's 2 releases, so that's cool. Opener and first single, Love Like Hell, has a pop sensibility that matches something resembling early 90s Def Leppard.
That's good. We both had that sort of vibe when we
actually
wrote the song. So.
Yeah, big Def Leppard influence on this one. But minus the high-end production. Well, that's true. We didn't have thousands to spend on this record, to be honest. The song could fit alongside the tracks found on Adrenalize. That's awesome. Real catchy stuff and a solid way to begin the EP. I agree, Jason. Second single, Beautiful Disaster, rocks things up a bit with a melody and vocal approach from lead singer Lewis Riley Morrison that is stylistically late 80s Alice Cooper. That's interesting. I don't think we've ever had an Alice Cooper describe us like that. That's
I mean, I'm not gonna say that.
I know what he means.
It's Alice Cooper, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, love Alice. Yeah. With semi-sinister lyrics to match, the lyrics are sinister. Yeah. Love it. Once again, quite catchy and well executed. It's with track 3 that the band begins to lose me a bit. The ballad Slipping Away is a 6-minute track that feels so much longer as it meanders and is slow to build. When the track eventually gets to its crescendo, it's just a matter of instruments cranking up their volume and the lead singer reaching for a slightly higher octave. The passion seems missing in a song about the depths of despair. That's interesting. Interesting take. Slow build up. Yeah, that's the idea.
It's a ballad. Most ballads are.
We wanted a slow build up. We wanted to build up to that big crescendo, as Jason states there. So that is actually exactly what we wanted to do. Yeah, cranking up the volume of the instruments. Not so sure about that. You don't really do that.
I don't really know what that means. No. I mean, it doesn't necessarily get louder because.
It's a big ending.
That's not how it works with production.
No, it's a big ending and there's more going on. Slightly higher octave. So there he's obviously...
Can we go half an octave?
You can do it. Lewis can do it.
2 octaves? 3 octaves? I mean,
it is higher. So to the end of the track, Lewis does reach higher notes to, again, portray that emotion, which I think is done excellently. Jason doesn't seem to agree here. He says the song is missing the passion, which I've got to disagree with that. Being in the room when Lewis and I recorded that was a surreal experience.
Yeah, and when we played it live as well for the first time, I think the crowd kind of resonated with us on it as well.
Yeah, exactly. This sort of points to me that maybe Jason hasn't listened to Untamed as well. You know, maybe it's that thing of yes, we did drop Slipping Away in the middle of a 5-track EP, but. Yeah, it made sense.
But it's just interesting to see the differences between interviews. One interview, it's the main focus.
Yeah, exactly. Power play. Yeah.
Obviously, Jason doesn't see it the same way.
Right, reading on. Second Renaissance gets the album back on track, at least at first. Oh, doesn't sound good, does it? Starting with a shorter, slow build, it gets the blood pumping so that when the main melody line is reached, the listener is hooked. So I guess it means the drums and then come into the big riff. Yeah. Again, intentional. They take an interesting approach with the bridge, which is wordless but adds double bass building to the chorus. So With Second Renaissance, there is a bridge, well, a pre-chorus, I'd call it, that leads to the chorus with the lyrics in. And yes, we wanted that. We wanted a strong, fast, intense.
Has every
build
section
to
got to have
chorus.
lyrics? Or?
No. I think the guitars can sing sometimes. Unfortunately, the chorus is a bit lacking and the least interesting part of the song. It's unusual, as I know a lot more songs that have mediocre verses and kick-ass choruses, but this is the reverse. It's still an effective track, but would have been the best one on the EP had they spent a little more time improving the chorus.
I think that's due to maybe being a bit more of a progressive track. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like on Untamed where we kind of got all the hits,
Exactly.
the catchy stuff. This is a lot more progressive. So it would come across that way.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. Final track, Sacrifice, once again has a very slow build. Intentional. But nothing of interest happens until the 120 mark.
I'll tell you what happens. It's an unbelievable journey on the intro with the guitars singing.
Obviously we're going to say that because we are in the band, but I truly believe that the first
I love that
track.
The minute.
Again, the guitar can sing sometimes, and that's what we've done there. So got to disagree there. And the way the song builds to when the lyrics and everything come in is, I just think is a really smart choice. Okay, he goes on to talk about this nothing interesting happening. He says, it is just like guitar note picking. As with the ballad, the same issues persist. It's a mid-tempo rocker that is not all that interesting until the final 2 minutes, where a wordless bridge picks up steam and the band throws down with a sped-up tempo. Tempo doesn't speed up there, tempo stays exactly the same. Unfortunately, the lead singer shows his limitations and is not able to hit the highs that the band and the song are demanding, diminishing the impact of the track.
So if I was to go back to say the interesting until the final 2 minutes, again, that would be another part of the progressive kind of style on the last two tracks of this EP.
Absolutely. I'm not sure how much higher Lewis could have gone on that final chorus. Really, it's an interesting take. Obviously, as you said, it's a more progressive song, which Jason isn't really on board with. Okay, here we go. The final bit. The band shows promise, but they have some kinks that need to be worked out. They were wise to release the first 2 tracks as singles, as those are the best the album has to offer. Fair enough. The other 3 tracks are not terrible, but they each have individual flaws that stop them from being as solid as the singles. Lead singer Lewis Ryder Morrison performs well, but his range is limited. That's like telling Miles Kennedy his range is limited, really. They would be wise to construct the songs in a way that does not require him to reach for highs that he cannot achieve. So slow build songs that develop without his ability to deliver diminishes the effect the song was meant to have. Beautiful Disaster should be a template going forward. Staying within song structures like this will achieve better results. So straight away, the guy doesn't like progressive stuff.
Yeah.
These aren't massively progressive songs, by the way. They all have a chorus, they all have hooks, they all have a bridge, they all have, verses. They are fairly straight. Yes, there's parts in the middle that float off a little bit, keep it interesting, Maybe going back to that thing of, when you release an EP, it's got to be 3.5 minutes singles for the whole thing. Yeah. That's not what we did here, and that's not what we intended to do. Not a bad review. I think the comments on Lewis, I don't agree with any of them. Just putting it straight. He doesn't have a limited range. He suits this band perfectly. There's no other way to say it, really. I say perfectly a lot. My bad. So not a terrible review. Appreciate it. Moving on. On to the next one. This is by Maximum Volume Music and Andy Thorley. Thank you, Andy. Okay, let's go. It's funny how you judge a band by its name. I've done it all my life. I once bought an album by a band called Black Eyed Susan based on the fact they had a cool moniker. It was pretty good if I recall, but it's not on Spotify, so I can't check it as I don't have a tape player. Zach's got a tape player. Can use Zach's. Paradise Sins. The name conjured up sleaze to me. The kind of band that might have opened for Guns N' Roses around 1989.
Lewis would have loved to have done that.
Yeah, I would have loved to have done that.
Yeah.
I still would like to do that.
Yeah, let's do it now.
The trouble with assumptions, though, is that they're usually wrong, and this one was. Okay, so you're thinking there, where does he go from here?
Yeah, at first I was like, yeah.
Their second album, Desires, would have sounded right at home in the 80s, sure, but that's not a knock. Take Love Like Hell. It's a radio-friendly as FM gets, but with a tougher, more youthful edge. I mean, that's cool. That's a really good way to describe the song. Yes, it is, you know, it's a pop rock song, but pop rock 80s song, but yeah, it's got that hard edge to it. He goes on to say, Beautiful Disaster embraces a similar vibe, but distinguishes itself through twin guitar attack, with Dan James and Connor Frampton meshing seamlessly alongside Lewis Riley Morrison's commanding vocals. So yeah, I mean, Beautiful Disaster just riff. It's just riff after riff, and it's tied up by Lewis's.
I like that he's really actually
he's
listened to the guitars.
Yeah. Reviewers and people alike will obviously listen to the vocals first, but Andy is obviously taking the time to listen to this properly, and that's awesome. He says, and that voice, it's perfect for this kind of music. I agree, Andy. The songs on Desires stretch a little longer than typical for the genre, slipping away as a balladic statement of intent, while the expansive Second Renaissance builds superbly, offering a slow burn that highlights drummer Zach Morris's excellence. Lyrically, it's also a touch more nuanced than you might expect. Yeah, there's quite a lot behind the lyrics in Second Renaissance. I believe it's based on a novel, I think. In fact, the EP's second half hints at intriguing future directions. Sacrifice, for example, carries a flavour of latter-day Iron Maiden in its guitar work. Yeah, not a sentence I ever thought I'd write about this band. It'll be interesting to see where they go, but the 5 songs on Desires express the desire to be huge in every sense. To be honest, this review only needs one word: ambition. And he's given us an 8.5 out of 10.
That's great.
A stunner.
And we really are ambitious for
That's
what
stunner.
we're trying to do.
Yeah. Again, it's so obvious when someone's actually taking the time to listen to something properly. Yeah. And Andy is.
He's picked up on the more progressive style. Again, I keep saying progressive, but that's really what this track is compared to Untamed.
He says about Iron Maiden there, and I think they're a massive influence for us. Can you tell? Got the tattoo somewhere. I can't whip it out. But yeah,
something else you can whip out.
Yeah, we're just we're exploring. We with these tracks you can tell we're exploring, and Andy's picked up on that. Solid review.
Thank you.
Right, next one we've got heavymetalresource.com, and unfortunately doesn't look like it says who wrote this one, but whoever did, thanks very much.
So they start off by saying this band is new to me. They are an upcoming melodic hard rock band out of the UK.
That's true.
That's true. The band started up in 2022.
That's also true.
That's also true. And have released some singles and an EP to date.
Also factual. This
new album is an EP as well, containing 5 tracks. The music starts off well with the more straight ahead rockers like Love Like Hell and Beautiful Disaster, before offering up the more melodic Slipping Away. It is at this point where you feel the depth of the band. This tune offers up a bit more atmosphere and feeling. Can't deny that. Yep. The EP continues with more atmospheric and maybe even slightly progressive sound with Second Renaissance. Now, that's exactly what we're going for. So yeah, they took the time and actually listened to the track and have thought about it.
Process the EP.
Yeah, properly. Exactly. Goes on to say, eventually you end up at the final melodic track, Sacrifice, which is a real gem.
That's good to hear.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. The EP is a short journey, but definitely fulfilling. This isn't the 80s throwback type melodic rock. It definitely leans in a more modern hard rock direction, which is true. And they go on and say that this stuff is really good.
Quality little review there. It's a nice write-up. Yeah, that's cool. That's what you want to hear. I feel like reading that they've listened to the first EP as well. And yeah, I think they're right there. We're not an 80s throwback band. We're obviously influenced by that genre. That genre's trending.
We're not even. Well. It's not even the 80s that we're influenced by. We're influenced by a lot of heavier bands as well, which is why it kind of seeps into the sort of music we're doing now.
Solid review by whoever wrote that, Heavy Metal Resource.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Right, let's do another one. This is from Overtone, and there's no writer for this one, unfortunately, but thanks for taking the time. There's quite a few heavy bands reviewed on this site, so let's see where we fit in. The stadium-filling AOR release is again the band's second of the year and overall. It's a sleaze-dripping, stomping rock release, and if you're into that sort of thing, it's a lot of fun. It's full of soaring vocals, catchy massive choruses and harmonies, and some great guitar riffs throughout. I absolutely loved Beautiful Disaster and the epic closing ballad Sacrifice, but all 5 tracks are well worth a listen. Honestly, I'm shocked the band aren't bigger in the UK scene, as there is a massive scene for this sort of thing. Yeah, it's really trending at the minute.
Yeah.
This modern hard rock stuff. It's
maybe we're inspiring people.
Maybe.
Never know.
However, with a quality release like this, there is no question they will be making waves soon. He's right as well. Any rock fans should check this out immediately, and it's another easy 8 out of 10. That's a quality little write-up.
Another banging review.
Stadium filling AOR. That's pretty much what we're going for. So yeah, quality, good stuff. Right, this is a one. This is proper this one. This guy f***ing hated what we've done here. This is hilarious. This is from getreadytorock.me.uk and it's by David Randall. So cheers for the review, David. We're going to read what you put about us. Paradise Sins are a recent formation, 2022, factually correct, and look back to 1980s melodic rock for their inspiration. Again, factual. This 5-track EP is their second main calling card to date, following the previous EP Untamed. But the production, as often the case with new contenders, really lets them down. There's potential here, but the band need an objective kick up the pants. Alright, so he starts with Love Like Hell, pulled as the lead track is just a sonic mess, but provides the oral template. A sonic mess. Vocalist and guitarist Lewis Riley Morrison is mixed well to the front, his vocal style perhaps an acquired taste. That is said about Miles Kennedy.
Yeah.
It's, you know, fine. Mixed to the front, yes he is. He's got a big vocal and it's important to put that at the front in this type of music, as is the case with a lot of bands like this. Whilst the guitar sound is hardly in your face, no it's not in your face, no it's not. Things don't get any better with Beautiful Disaster. The title probably sums up this whole endeavour. This guy
weird because so many people love Beautiful Disaster.
Yeah, funny that. The band try their hands at the atmospheric, aka slow ballad. It is a slow ballad. Patented rain noises at the start of and during Slipping Away, but there's still something amiss. Be interesting to see what he said was amiss. He's just said something's amiss.
Yeah, what?
The PR blurb quotes guitarist and producer Dan Jay. The production is a wild auditory ride, an unapologetic immersive reflection of our unrelenting love for the live show. Let the sins begin. Yeah, that was me basically saying we are producing off the back of our energy for our live show. So that's true. And then he put, God help us. God help us. Due to the incoherent knob twiggling, the metronomic kick drum dominates. This is demonstrated, so Zach can keep time. That's important. This is demonstrated clearly on Second Renaissance to the detriment of the distant sounding, orally suppressed guitars. And the kick drum is prominent again on Sacrifice after a more promising start. We're not asking for Bew Hill, but this could have been so much better. And I think he's given us half a point.
Is that half a point?
Don't know, it could be like 1 out of 1, 1 out of 2. There's 2 stars next to it. David, get in touch, let us know. Let us know what you meant by that rating. You might have given us a 0, and that's fine. The thing is, right, every review you've got to take something from it, and you know, if the production isn't up to scratch, fair enough, we did our best with what we got. But then other reviewers have stated quite obviously the quality of the sound of the record. In fact, across the board, that was one of the stronger points, really.
We would always take on advice from people.
Yeah, exactly.
If it was just a little bit more constructive.
Yeah, this isn't constructive. We need to kick up the pants. Yeah, cheers. Right, we've got another one, and this is a cool website. Games, Brains, and a Head-Banging Life. Yeah, and this was written by Carl Fisher. Cheers for this, Carl. He says it's a 1-minute read. British melodic rock crew Paradise Sins will release their new EP, Desires, on December 6th, 2024. This new EP is the follow-up to their well-received debut EP, Untamed. Yeah, cool. Alright, he goes on to say, do you enjoy big riffs?
Yes.
Groovy rhythms?
Yes.
Soaring vocals?
Yes.
Soloing?
Yes.
Infectious choruses? Headbanging and booty-shaking vibes?
Yes.
Of course you do, he says. Which means everything Paradise Sins does here should appeal. We're talking stadium-style anthems played with all the power and poise of a band far longer into their careers than they are 2022. So he's saying there that we sound bigger than where we're at.
Which we get a lot.
We do get that a lot. Now, let me make something clear though. As enjoyably fun and excitingly rocking as the EP is, there's nothing fresh here. It's rock with plenty of melody and focused on being as anthematic as possible, which is all anyone needs. Paradise Sins make good rock music and deliver it with mighty aplomb. What is there to complain about? Now, I've always said this about this band. We're not trying to invent anything new here. Obviously, we're spinning different ideas together, which I think Desires captures quite nicely, but we ain't trying to invent a new rock.
Of course not.
We're a rock band, you know what I mean? And Carl has put that absolutely perfectly there. I really appreciate that. First, they set the senses alight with the energised sing-along that is Love Like Hell. Then they get a bit moodier, a little bit more defiant and more melodic with Beautiful Disaster, before showing off a more sensitive side to their sound with the emotive balladry of Slipping Away and building layers of powerful rockiness with Second Renaissance. Each has its own flavour, That's cool. Yeah, each song does have its own flavour on this one. And while melodic rock might be the foundations of Paradise Sins' sound, they certainly have more imagination and plenty of flair, which helps ensure the different sensations of Sacrifice are dominant and that its finale as pleasing as everything that came before. That is a solid review.
Yeah, that is great. That is great.
Everything, again, this guy, Carl, he's listened to it. He's listened to it properly, and the comments are really good, really honest, really transparent, and that's all you can ask for, really.
And word for word has basically called us out and told us what we're doing.
Yeah, and that's good, and that's what we want. So, thank you, Carl.
Cheers, thank you.
Right, finally, we're on to a big one here. Classic Rock Magazine, and Philip Wilding took the time to write some words about us, and it's a stunner.
So he starts off by saying, "You have to admire anyone in 2024 who can sing the lyrics, 'I like the clothes you wear, they'll look good on my floor.'
And keep a straight face.
And keep a straight face."
That's so true.
Yeah.
I mean,
he says that might not be an exact quote, but you get the idea. Would be a rock star thinking.
Straight from the Vince Neil Handbook for Life. That's quality.
I think what's the lyric? I like the clothes. The lyric is, "I like the kind of clothes you wear. They look good on my floor." So he was pretty much spot on.
They're brilliant tongue-in-cheek lyrics, and that's exactly what he was going for in the song. And Philip's picked up on this. Picked up on that really well, so
that's great.
That's cool.
So he goes on to say, you also have to admire Paradise Sin's ambition. We do have a lot of ambition. Not least singer Lewis Riley Morrison's run up at some of the high notes that would have leveled a young Bon Jovi. There are plenty of other Bon Jovi musical references here too.
That's big words.
So he's saying that he's got range.
I mean, to be compared to John Bon Jovi is that's wicked. Along
with Little Angels and Paul Stanley, when Kiss were still up for the fight.
So that's cool.
That's huge.
Kiss, Little Angels, Paul Stanley, Bon Jovi, wicked.
So Paradise Sins are better when they're rocking too. Power ballad Slipping Away does just that. And the strutting Sacrifice and the rattling Beautiful Disaster will bring you back for more.
That's a quality review. Okay, it's well put together. The guy's obviously listened to what we're doing. He knows what our influences are. I don't know if he's listened to Untamed or not, but he's clearly had a good listen to this. Just keep saying it. Though. I got to reiterate that people who are taking a good listen to this are really getting the point of the record and getting where we're coming from. And we are ambitious. Classic Rock's a big magazine, Power Play. There's some big sites on here that have given us really superb reviews. Well happy with that.
Some big names to compare us to.
Exactly. Right, that wraps us up. So I hope you enjoyed that. As I said, there are lots more reviews out there. It's a different EP to release compared to the first one, and we're just so happy with what's come back from it. We know it's good, and it's just really nice to get some recognition from some big guns. Yeah, there's be some really constructive feedback for it as well, mostly. Yeah. Excluding a couple. You know who you are.
I hope it's answered some questions that some people have been asking as well, like why didn't we do a full-length album? Why is there a bit of a difference between the first EP and the second EP? But as we've said before, it's mainly one big thing, basically.
Yeah. We have news on that coming up pretty soon. We've got some pretty special plans what we're going to do with these two EPs. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching that. Us to be a couple of clowns reading these, trying to read these reviews. Yeah, keep an eye on us. We've got a massive 2025 ahead of us. Haven't we, mate?
I hope so. I think we have. No, we have.
Let the sins begin, baby.
Let the sins begin.
Bye.
Whoop.